G'day, welcome to the TFI Uncut podcast. I'm your host, Tim Wybrow, also known as Tazcast across socials. I'm a cinematographer by trade and have a production company, but I also love the ocean, love conservation and everything in between. I understand all of the effort that goes into these films each year, and I'm proud as punch to be hosting this podcast to learn all about the juicy gossip that went into everyone's films this year. So stick around, this is going to be quite the journey. Today, we've got a very special guest that is not often in front of the camera. So a big warm welcome to Dean, the mastermind behind SCF and the TFI. This is an incredible chat, so make sure you tune in for the whole episode. G'day and welcome to the TFI Uncut podcast. For those that don't know what the TFI is, it's a community-based fishing competition from lots of different personalities and outdoor enthusiasts across Australia that compete for a large figure of money each year. It's pretty spectacular. Over the last couple of years, it's grown exponentially. And today we are also here sitting with the mastermind behind it all, which is pretty interesting. What I would say is, from an outsider's perspective, I didn't know a whole lot about SCF and TFI until we really met the other week. And it's quite funny. Let's go over that interaction of how you and I first got to know each other. I mean, I competed personally. I have a fishing channel called Tazcast. I competed in one of your events last year and didn't hear anything of it. And I was a bit gutted. And then I recently relocated up to the Sunshine Coast and went to a event that Dean was actually speaking at. Tried to put you on the spot there for a minute and how did that unfold?
Yeah, I dread doing this type of thing. So this was probably the last time it'll happen. But previous to that was the last time it was going to happen. And anyway, I was chatting at this Young Chambers thing and there was just this kid, like wide-eyed, just staring at me the whole time in the crowd. I'm like, he's going to be trouble as soon as I stop. And it was Tim. And basically he just drilled me with all these questions. And from my understanding, he had competed in the wildcard entry, which gets you an invitation to the TFI, etc. And he had heaps of questions, and he actually knew none of the backstory. I think you maybe thought it was like a BCF event.
Yeah,
he didn't really know how it come to this.
And once I actually heard you speak on the panel too, my eyes lit up, as you said, because I had no background knowledge about SCF and TFI and what it was. And in that moment, I was just light bulbs are going off. I'm like, holy heck. This guy is interesting. He's done so much stuff behind the scenes and like incredible things for the fishing community too. Yeah. And I don't want to talk about fishing necessarily so much within this interview and this podcast with you, but perhaps we can just touch on a couple of the events that you started off with and how they've grown exponentially and that sustainability background message throughout it too, which is a really prominent thing that a lot of people are talking about now.
Yeah, let's chat about that. But before we do that, when he actually was asking me these questions, I was just looking at him and I'm like, I think I know that dude. I think he's like from Tasmania. And I was just tripping because you're obviously on the Sunshine Coast. You were jamming me with all these questions. And then, it was just like, it was really cool. And now
you handled the questions pretty well. Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. And then afterwards, what did I do? I ended up buying you a beer and apologising.
Yeah, and I gave you a job the next day. and here we are.
It's all grown pretty exponentially since then. And we've been flat out. We've filmed some pretty cool projects together and it's great working together.
Yeah, and we're just kicking off this sort of podcast series and hopefully, it's going to turn into something big as well. And we'll enjoy the fun. But I guess what a lot of people don't know is where the TFI come from. And it come from like really humble beginnings, which was just like a little fishing comp on the sunny coast back in the day where we come up with this idea. At the time, they were trying to shut down fishing areas and cancel fishing and all this. And back then, like I loved having a good time with the boys. I used to love going on trips, doing a bit of fishing tournament stuff and whatnot.
You're a pretty keen angler yourself.
I was a very keen angler, and everyone I was hanging out with at the time was. And I just come up with this idea where I was like, let's just like bring everyone together. Let's use the event to collect as much citizen science data about recreational fishing as we could to like get an understanding of our waterways. And if these bastards were trying to like cancel our sport, at least us and our fishing community would have like something to fight back against them. And that's sort of like where it all come together. And that's what pushed me over the edge to really like commit to the event and give it a crack and see if we could make it happen. And over the next couple of years, the SCF research and fishing competition really started to go crazy. We got like the best fishermen on the coast and around Queensland would all come down and they'd all contribute to the science project. It's like an annual marine life survey. And we just had a kick-ass time doing that. And we've been working with some like incredible businesses, incredible people, and just like growing our brand, and we just wanted to make a living and a life, and I guess turn all our dreams into a way of life. And we knew that we wouldn't be able to do that just from that single event. So we're always looking at other things to do within the industry and use our strengths and stuff like that. And
how did you find sort of gaining the momentum to work with brands originally? I mean, coming from a small sort of tight-knit community of fishermen that care about the ocean so much, do you feel like they felt the passion that was coming through with everything you were doing?
I think in the early days, the fishing industry didn't really support what we were doing. It was all just based around the people coming in to support it, and just fishermen who had their own businesses essentially. So it was all like self-funded. It was all driven on passion, and we've had such a good time doing it. And yeah, we come up with the TFI idea, me and Benny Glass, and this over a 3-year period, this idea, the original idea, just like merged into what it is now. And we knew we had to go from just being like a couple of fishermen running these little passion projects to like a corporate company that had the infrastructure to execute something like this. And
yeah, dude, it is magnificent from an outsider's perspective, even just learning a little bit more about your story and how it's all come about, to then when you see the TFI from, you know, that outsider's perspective of how big and how large it is, it's grown into such a solid part of our fishing community in Australia.
Yeah. And
hats off to you and the team as well. I mean, it's not just you to thank for it. You've got some other very valuable team members that we might hear from later on.
Yeah.
But what were some of those other challenges that may have popped up when you were growing, and were there any sort of pain points?
Let's not talk about any of the challenges, because I'll be here for friggin' weeks.
Yep.
But let's talk about the positives. And the positives were just backing ourselves, just turning the company from the little passion project into like what it is today, getting the team members in. We've had the sexiest office you've ever seen on the Maroochy River for like the last 3 years.
Yep.
And everything we've built was just like in that space. Like everything was built from scratch. Like all the design work, we did it in the office, all the apps, all the marketing campaigns, every single thing we've done has been in-house and from our team. And we've got like an extended team of maybe 12 to 15 people, and people have come and gone over the years, and they've all contributed, and that's going to continue to happen into the future, I guess. And I guess we've got to a point now where from when we had the idea to when we actually launched TFI, it took us 3 years to build it, to build that infrastructure, to get all the wheels in motion, get all the proposals ready, like to have the discussions, to do the deals, all the legal work. Like I'm pretty sure this is
so much paperwork behind it in the scene, behind the scenes as well.
Yeah.
And I guess just so everybody understands where we are at the moment, we're in a position where we've got multiple different personalities flying in this weekend that are coming to the Gold Class screening, which is quite a fun event where all of these films are being shown to everyone that's competed prior to opening up voting, which you at home can vote for jumping on the TFI website. And yeah, it's just a fantastic opportunity to network with everybody else, get to know all of the other personalities, and showcase the work that everyone's put so many hours into. It's a pretty cool event. What can we expect this weekend?
Well, yeah, the excitement has really started to build today. Like I said, I was dreading doing this, but so much is happening in this area right now, and everyone's starting to come to town tomorrow. And yeah, it's event week. I'm pumped all of a sudden. I'm happy to be here and doing this.
The last couple of days we've been hanging out, man. You've been so chill. You haven't even mentioned that.
Nah.
And now it's like, I can see today your energy has just shifted. Like, it's go time.
Yeah. And that's one thing that's happened over the years too. Like, we would be just panicking and freaking out for weeks leading into an event, but we're 3 years deep now.
Yeah.
TFI.
You've ironed out a lot of those kinks.
We've ironed out all the kinks. So what I was saying before too, like, we've built everything, all the frameworks there. It's ready to replicate or do whatever we want, but all our systems are in place, and it's just a matter of rinsing, repeating, and enjoying like everything else around the event a bit more this year, and we're going to this weekend, and I'm pumped for it.
So just a little bit more about the films. Each film is 20 minutes long. So as we said, we've got multiple different people competing for it. I guess what I'd like to know is the production level of it. And I think it's interesting because as creators, a lot of YouTubers, when they're producing this content, and from my own experience, you'll kind of go out there, you won't really have a narrative that you're going towards. How do you feel the influencers are coming together and actually structuring a bit more narrative from what they typically do on a daily basis with their vlogging and things like that. Do you think they're really going hard and putting their soul into these films?
Good. It's a good question. Yeah. In the first 2 years, we had some like hidden bonus points on the back end to make sure that the guys were creating the right films with all the like SCF messaging, I guess, that we wanted to be promoting to the Aussies and the world, and that's sustainable fishing, clean waterways, and future generations. So that was in the first 2 years of films, and we actually removed them this year after some of the feedback we've got last year, and that where people are like, I don't think you need it anymore. Like the guys know what it's about, et cetera, et cetera. And I've watched a couple of the films, and I think that back end structure is definitely lacking this year that you'll see. So we'll be bringing some of them back in to keep everything in line with our core values. But apart from that, the guys, the good thing about this event is they're not trying to just like make a video to suit the YouTube algorithms. This is their opportunity to go on that trip of a lifetime and capture it the best way they want to know how, and then just show it off to everyone, to as many people as possible. And the beautiful thing about this event is we've got like all these high profile people and teams. Like we say 10 teams, but technically there's 5 people in each team. So there's actually 50 people who are contributing to this event. And then they've all got like incredible network and skills and contacts and everything, who are all coming in to the same place to collaborate and show off their skills and everything like that. So it's just a really good, for anyone that gets involved in it, there's just so many benefits for it. Yeah. I'm a camera geek, and I love geeking out on camera equipment. And I think just seeing the progression each year, we saw a couple of previews this morning when they were running them at Gold Class. And I think the production levels are slowly growing and increasing. And a lot of people forget, sometimes within films and within TV, something can be filmed incredibly sloppy, but as long as that narrative's there, and I think there's a really core, strong element of a lot of these films this year that have those strong narratives, and they hook you in. Yeah. And that's what's going to be really cool for the viewers, and especially you guys back at home when you're watching them. You're going to be just staring at the screen, getting hooked into these awesome storylines, and then there's epic content on top of it. It really just takes just your average YouTube video to the next level. And I can't wait to see how it's going to progress over the next couple of years. But I guess what my question is from the first round that you did, have you started to see that narrative drive in a little bit more and people really starting to hone in on the storylines? Are they getting it more and more structured? Are the production levels increasing? I feel like they're going in two different directions. Some people are going all for this like cinematography and that angle, which is incredible. And some of them are going for like the amateur Lone Ranger, capture their own experience sort of thing, which are both fine, and people relate to videos in different ways. So yeah, one thing that we just have never been able to predict is who's going to win this thing. Yeah. Like, because what it comes down to is the voting formula. It's like a 10-to-1 scale. So your favorite film, they get 10 points. Your least favorite film gets 1 point, and everything in the middle. So when people do jump online, you do have to actually vote at 1 to 10. So just ensure that you do that to make your vote count. Yeah. And the reason we do that is, let's just say that there was like some really high profile people in the mix with the smaller profile people. It's so like those guys just can't whitewash the rest of the people. It's everyone is bringing eyeballs to the same place, and then this voting formula actually makes the best film win. Yeah, and I think we actually saw that with the wildcard entry that happened last week. Yeah, with the winner from that contestant, a lot of people were actually voting him into the top 3. Yeah, and therefore that increased. Yeah, he started climbing the ranks. Yeah. And fantastic film too. It was very engaging. Very funny. Yeah, and lots of the narrative. And I'm sure you're going to learn a lot more about that person in particular over the next coming days. But yeah, it's a fantastic thing. Everything that's happening, it's really exciting. Such an exciting space. What else would you like to convey that's going on here? Yeah, well, I guess there's a couple of key things about the event. And the number one thing is the prize money for the guys competing. So there's $135,000 prize pool, $70,000 from last year. No, it's always been that, but we just haven't had a chance to really tell everyone else what's going on. So how it works is first place gets $70,000 cash. That's incredible. Second gets $20,000 cash. Third gets $10,000 cash, and then everyone else gets $5,000 building their film and contributing and getting involved and showing up to the Gold Class and everything like that. So that's one thing that a lot of the wild card people actually don't realise is if they get in, they got the guaranteed 5K cash and everything else. So
that's unreal. So if you are thinking about competing next year in the wildcard entry, definitely start collecting some footage over the next coming months. I mean, you know, a lot for my entry was actually collected over 3 or 4 different trips, and then you can kind of place it in to form your narrative and tell a bit of a story. So if you are hanging on to any footage, save it for that and definitely include it as well.
I've got a few more things. So the next thing is we've actually, because of this event, in 2 years, we've raised over $25,000 for fish habitat restoration.
That's fantastic.
A lot of that's gone to Ozfish, and they've done some incredible stuff with that. Some of the money's gone to Great Barrier Reef Foundation. Some's gone to Sharks and Rays Australia. And yeah, so the more people we get in and the more people that support this thing, so the creators get rewarded, the viewers get rewarded. We've got some kick-ass prizes for all the viewers, and then we're raising money to help our waterways.
So you're making such a huge impact across the board. It's not just all about commercial gain, and that's what I love about it. We've got so many big problems that are happening in our ocean. Ocean acidification, for one, with rising pH levels is probably our biggest threat in today's society. But knowing that even from these SCF and TFI competitions, I mean, the data collection, as you spoke on before, you can hand over that data to fisheries. They can make some big calls as to what's going on in our ocean. This isn't just about, like we've said, commercial gain. It's incredible that all of that data can be used for fantastic, I guess, conservation elements.
It's actually pretty cool to be talking about the impact, I guess, we have had, because we have collected all this incredible data. We've already learnt some things that are happening here on the Sunshine Coast and other areas because of the data we've collected. We've identified different types of fish moving into different areas at certain times. And then, yeah, we have raised all this other money for restoration projects and stuff like that. It's really bloody cool that we did go from just this little fishing comp to now we're in a position to sort of really give back and make a difference.
Yeah.
And one thing to add onto that is probably our relationship with BCF.
Yep.
And backing us to pull all this together. Like I remember when we went in there and pitched this to them, we knew we were onto something like really, really special. And we got in there and we ran it out to the guys, and yeah, we did our pitch for friggin' hearts were racing, whatever. And just how we did it, I remember we set it all up. So we basically ticked all our boxes for the sponsorship deal before the films are even released to the public. And I remember the guy in there at the time, he's just like, so you're telling me yada, yada, yada? And we're like, yep. He's just like, sign them up, boys. And he just left the room. And
unreal, just put all that trust in you guys.
Yep,
that's fantastic.
Put it all in. That gives me goosebumps talking about it. And like Andy and Harry and all the guys we've been working with down there at BCF have just been an absolute pleasure since day one. And yeah, we'd really need to give them a big thank you because they are funding the event and they're making all this possible. We're just sort of joining all the dots together and making sure everyone has the best possible experience.
Yeah. And one thing that I will say is that I actually think throughout the recreational fishing community, this is something that we need. It is something that it's nice for young guns to aspire towards. And it's a real big leg up for networking and other influencers alike to really grow their skill set and meet new people. And I mean, how well connected you are with fisheries and BCF and all of these other people up here on the coast. It's phenomenal, the connections that you've made. But I don't think a lot of people understand just quite how big of an opportunity this can be for some people's personal growth.
Definitely, yeah. And one thing we've really done, we've always tried to have like a broad range of people in there. We've always got our we've got at least one girl team in there. We've got like the couples team in there. We'd like to always have a junior in there. And we're always mindful about that. We're just like really trying to give everyone in the industry like an even share of like, I don't know, the opportunities available. And it's been working for them. It's been working really well for them.
So bloody awesome.
And I guess another thing that hasn't been taken advantage of yet is the eyeballs we get on this thing. So we've just got this powerhouse, I don't know, to get right in front of all the right people. And if there's any brands out there who want to rely on and get in front of those people, definitely just sing out to the website of the team or whatever, because we are keen to collaborate and it's one mega opportunity that no one's really taken advantage of yet.
Okay, so we're at the point now where everyone's flying in this weekend. It's time to preview the TFI films for 2024. What can we expect and what can the viewers expect back at home when they're going to be watching these in their living room?
what they can expect is that whatever they think the films are going to be like, they're going to be nothing like that. They are all very different. There's a film there to suit every different type of person. There's all different types of fishing, all different types of catches, all different types of journeys you're going to go on. There's been some drama.
Oh gosh, even when we were watching the preview this morning in the cinema, you heard me I was screaming at one of the previews that I saw. I was literally on the edge of my seat going, no way.
Yeah.
And I guarantee at home when you're watching these back, you'll probably be doing the same thing because, I mean, it doesn't take much to hype me up, but that was, in particular, this thing that we saw, that got me going. That was crazy.
He was very excited. One thing that happens in these films each year, because so much work goes into them, like so many hours of work, so many moving parts, so much planning, just like all this stuff goes into it. There's generally always dramas with the guys who do it in some way, shape or form. And I guess that's the beauty about what we're going to do here with this podcast. We're gonna get the guys in here. We're going to ask them the questions, and we're going to find out like what actually went into it. I'll never forget chatting to the Back to Basics boys from year one, and just how much work they actually had to put into their film, and all the moving parts and people coming from all over the world.
They're always just putting so much work into every single episode. And when you come in and you double that work into these entries, I mean, people are absolutely in for a treat.
Yeah, I shouldn't just single them out. Every year, every team puts so much work into these films, their heart and soul into the films. And it's probably one of the only negative things about this is that there can only be one winner because they just put so much into it. And then if they don't walk away with the prize, they're pretty devoted about it. So that's the only bad thing about this event.
But like you said, there are those other elements of the prize pool that people can look forward towards.
Yeah.
Especially with that wildcard entry and getting that entry in. And we do highly encourage everybody back at home, if you are a fisherman, budding influencer, definitely start collecting some of that footage. But over the next couple of days as well, or over the next week or so, you're going to be learning a lot about all of these other personalities that have competed with this TFI Uncut podcast. So definitely subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you've got this saved within your Spotify and your Apple Music, and really hang out for some of these interviews with these really interesting people. And we're going to get a lot out of it and learn a little bit more about what goes into each film, because like you said, people behind the scenes don't actually understand what goes into a quality film. And as a filmmaker myself, I understand, but you're going to learn a lot back at home about what goes into it.
Let's maybe also talk about how you can actually watch the films, all you guys at home. So you need to go to thefilminvitational.com and basically just follow the prompts. There's three different sort of get access plans there that you can get. The bigger one, obviously, you get more draws into the lucky draw prize that we're giving away each month, which is going to be announced shortly.
Yeah. So just by watching back at home, you actually have an opportunity to walk home with something pretty cool as well.
Yeah, you do. And then I guess once you're in there, you can watch all the films. We've got all last year's films on there, all the year before's films on there. So you can jump on there now, like literally right now.
There's hours of content for you.
Get your access pass sorted, watch all the films from last year, get hyped for this year. And then, once you watch the films, just vote for all your favourite teams, and we'll sit back over the next couple of weeks and we'll see who walks away with that $70,000 cash, and we'll see who walks away with all the lucky draw prizes.
It's a fantastic event and we're really excited for it this year. Thank you very much for tuning into the pod. And some really exciting things in the works. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Be the first to watch this, get all of the inside scoop and the gossip on what's going on. And I can guarantee that this year there has been a little bit of gossip and drama behind the scenes, and we're going to learn all about that in the next couple of episodes.
Good job on blowing the cobwebs out for this chat too, and hopefully you guys don't have to hear from me again, but Tim's going to have plenty of interesting conversations, so tune in and enjoy.
Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.